Hello, Jeff Zwarenk here. Welcome to Give and Take, the segment of our show where we look at important scientific discoveries and how they relate to the truth of Christianity. Today I'm joined by my colleague and friend, Dr. Fazale Rana, and we're going to explore where scientists use intelligent design. Fuzz, good to have you on the show today.
Jeff, thanks for having me.
So intelligent design kind of gets a bad rep out in the scientific community, or at least in the popular science faith discussion, but it does seem like ID comes up in a lot of the things that scientists do. So what is it that brings ID into the discussion for us here today?
Well, SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, is a scientific program, and it's predicated on the ability of astronomers to detect evidence for the work of intelligent agency within nature. And so SETI investigators presumably can determine whether electromagnetic radiation emanating from a distant object is due to natural processes or due to an alien civilization that is either intentionally or unintentionally broadcasting those signals.
Well, that seems to be kind of the difficulty of that, is that you're looking at things that are natural, electromagnetic radiation, but also looking for something that's like, okay, what is this that's outside the realm, or at least unexpected from a natural perspective? So what if, scientists have discovered this asteroid that people are claiming has signs of intelligent design. So give us some of the details. What do they find? Yeah,
well, this particular object is nicknamed Oumuamua, and it's an object that went through our solar system in 2017, and there were some measurements recorded in the fall of 2017 on this object. And most people that are astronomers think that this is probably an interstellar asteroid or comet. But Avi Loeb, who is an astronomer at Harvard University, actually thinks that this is an artifact produced by alien civilizations, a spacecraft, if you will, produced by alien civilizations, based on the features of this particular object that went through our solar system.
Yeah, and if I remember, part of the challenge in doing this is that we kind of found it as it was leaving the solar system, so we didn't get a chance to study it as in depth as we would. But what are some of the things they found, or that Loeb points to as saying that, yeah, this may be an artifact, an intelligent artifact, as opposed to just a random asteroid that's floating through?
Well, he points out there's a number of features that just simply are outside what you would expect if this object was shaped through natural processes, like the aspect ratio. The size and the dimensions of the object are rather oblong, so it's either like a pancake or like a cigar-shaped object. And he argues, well, there's no mechanism to produce an asteroid or a comet with that shape, or the reflectivity is outside what you would expect, again, for those kinds of objects. And
so what do you mean by reflectivity? Or kind of flesh that out a little bit, because everything reflects.
The light that's coming off of it is at a higher intensity than you would expect if it was a natural object. Or when it went by the sun, its trajectory changed because of the gravitational influence of the sun, and you would expect that, but it looks like something else added to that change in trajectory, some kind of propulsive force that he argues doesn't have a natural explanation.
Well, so as a comet is going around, it's going to outgas or something, that would change direction. So is it something beyond that, or what makes it look unusual?
Well, he argues that you don't see anything recorded with Oumuamua that would suggest outgassing took place. If it disintegrates, that would change the trajectory, but there's no evidence in the observations that Oumuamua underwent disintegration. And the change in trajectory was really smooth as opposed to discontinuous. And so he argues that when you put that all together, not only are there not natural process explanations for this behavior, but this looks like an artificial object that went through our solar system.
So I want to kind of look at the intelligent design aspect in a second, but is this something that is outside the bounds of explaining naturally, or is it just something that it's highly unusual, and so that's what makes the difficulty? It's unusual, but could be intelligent as well.
Yeah, and it depends who you read on this. I think most astronomers say it's unusual, but not outside the bounds of what natural processes could do. Whereas Avi Loeb is taking the position that this really doesn't fit what natural process mechanisms could produce. And then he also points out that he was involved in a project called the Starshot Initiative, where they were proposing the building of what are called light sails, which would be these objects that would be similar in size to Oumuamua, that would use the sun energy from the sunlight to propel it through space, close to, about a 25% of the speed of light. And so he argues that Oumuamua fits all the characteristics you would expect if it was a light sail.
So not only do we wrestle with actually explaining it just within our normal distribution of things, it also has characteristics of things that we would be building. It also adds to the evidence for it.
Yes. So to me, what's intriguing is really not whether or not Oumuamua is an alien artifact, a spacecraft of sorts, but rather what is the reasoning that A.V. Loeb is using to make his case. And it's really natural process mechanisms don't seem to be able to account for the system. There's an artificiality to it. And then we know that if we would try to build something like it, that we do have the capability of designing something that would behave exactly the way that Oumuamua behaves.
Well, and that seems to be, often the claim of intelligent design is like, well, it just kind of ends the scientific conversation. We don't know how to investigate anymore. This sort of reasoning that you're describing seems to open up the possibility of, can we look for more of these things? Or, obviously this one's too far gone, but it seems to open up the possibility of further scientific investigation. Is that kind of a key of how you do intelligent design in a way that advances the scientific enterprise?
Yeah, I think what he's done is really very instructive for those of us who are trying to make a scientific case that certain features in nature are the product of a creator's handiwork. So like in my area of expertise, biochemistry, we've argued that biochemical systems can't be explained through chemical evolution. We talk about the fact that these systems have the appearance of design, using kind of a watchmaker reasoning to establish that. And then we talk about the fact that to go in the lab and to create protocells, the beginnings of biochemical systems, requires intelligent agency. And so the argument that we make for, again, intelligent design is in effect the same line of reasoning that A.V. Loeb uses. And so his case is a scientific case. So my point would be ID should also be treated as a scientific proposal.
Well, thanks, Fuzz. I really appreciate your comments. As we look out in the cosmos and in the cells and everywhere, scientists really do use intelligent design reasoning to explain why things work. In fact, that helps advance the scientific cause, particularly when we're looking at objects like Oumuamua, and I would argue even when we're looking at biochemistry, we see evidence of design. I would encourage you to go to reasons.org and check out Fuzz's latest article on this. It's called "Does Astroarchaeology Appeal to Intelligent Agency?" It will equip you to understand how using ID helps explain this object that passed through our solar system, but how we can also use it to see God's fingerprints that He has written into creation for us to discover.